Okay, let's get into our teaching for this evening. I'm excited about to share with you guys. Oh, my R got separated. My October tips for this evening, and it's going to be a fun teaching. We can get into that tonight. And October tips, I want to start by talking about a fall configuration. Sometimes we have to think about our bees ready for winter. How are they sitting this fall? Believe it or not, I kind of sketched this out, so apologize for the rough drawing, but I kind of want my bees to look like this. If I have two deeps and a honey super, I sort of want them to be between the two deep boxes. I want them to be spread out almost evenly. They may be up in the top deep or the bottom deep, but they're kind of like this, okay? And so within those 20 frames, those two 10-frame boxes, if you can look at these, I came up with these little images of frames. And if you notice in the middle, let's start on the bottom, okay? So sometimes we have to manipulate our frames. Here is the perfect scenario. It doesn't always work this way, okay? But this is what would be the best, in my opinion. Now, if you look at the bottom, out of those 10 frames, we have 4 frames of brood in the bottom. It can be eggs, larvae, pupae, like capped over pupae. But it would be great this time of the year to have at least 4 frames of brood in the bottom. It doesn't mean that they have to be solid sheets, because sometimes you're going to have brood, you're going to have a little bit of pollen, honey on the brood frame. I get that. So don't think they have to be solid brood. You want to see at least a good hand size or bigger area of brood. And that's my hand size, which I have really big hands. So you want 4 frames on the bottom. Adjacent to the bottom box brood, you want a couple of frames of pollen, as you see there, 3 frames of honey, and it can be intermixed, and a frame of bee bread. All that can kind of encompass all 3 of those things on one frame, maybe. So don't think it has to be individual, okay? Now, in your top deep, the way I like to see it, and tomorrow I'm going to be working with our friend Patrick. He'll be filming, and I think Mark Sprengler is here in the chat tonight. He lives over in Indiana. He's going to be working bees, and we're going to be filming with Mark. And one of the things we're going to do, Mark and Patrick, is we're going to go through a hive and take notes of the configuration as we see it, and decide if we want to manipulate these frames. That'd be a fun project, and make a fun video for you guys. But in the top deep, look at that. We have only 2 frames of pollen. Brood. This is the best scenario. Remember, this isn't don't take this the wrong way. Don't take this that if it's not like this, your bees are going to die. Not what I'm saying. I'm saying in a perfect world, this would be how it would really be a good setup. Bees can survive if it's all mixed up, so don't panic, okay? But in the top, we have 2 brood frames. We have, 2 frames of pollen. Pollen is always going to be a little bit of the less filled out, or the less things that you see in there. And then in the top, we're going to see probably 4 frames, 5 frames of honey, and a frame of bee bread. So I did an inspection. Patrick and I, in the last video we made, that we posted, I think it was one before the last one, but we actually went through and we saw this in quite a good number of the hives here, that we only saw 1 or 2 frames of brood in the top, the rest was in the bottom. So that is really a good setup. Let me give you an overlay here. Oh, yeah. So all in all, going into fall, this is what we want to see happen. 6 frames of brood going into winter or going into fall, because 6 times, there's I know there's 7,500 cells on a deep frame, but let's say 6,000 is a workable number. So 6 times 6 of brood, 36,000 bees of winter physiology. We're almost at the 40,000 mark that I like to be at. And then we want 8 frames of honey, maybe 4 in the top, 4 in the deep. So 8 is not a lot, but that's a start. 4 frames of pollen for protein, 2 frames of bee bread. So this is the idea. People ask me all the time, David, what is the idea of frame setup? What is the idea of frame, content going into winter? There's your answer. That is the ideal. Now, you might have to combine hives to get that if you're really far away from that, from what we're looking at here. If you're really far off those numbers, you might have to combine hives. If you're close, you might have to feed them. If you can swap frames with another hive to kind of balance or equalize, we've talked about that before. So I overlaid the image. Now you can see the 2 boxes. You can see this kind of the cluster. We'll call it the winter cluster. See how the brood would be more in the middle, where the 4 on the deep brood is on the bottom, 2 in the top. They're keeping that warm, and the honey is kind of on the outside a little bit. It's going to be interspersed on all the frames. Most frames have a little bit of brood, pollen, honey, even bee bread on the same frame. So there's not, like I said, don't hold me to this, that each frame can only contain one item. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that that frame is known as having a majority of one or the other. That's a good way of putting it, I guess. So what bees need in the winter is what we need in the winter. We need meat and taters and a little bit of carbohydrates, fruit and vegetables. So bees are going to be eating this honey, this nectar, and over on the right, they're going to be eating their pollen, their protein. That's what they need to be storing up now. So keep track of that. On an average, a colony is going to eat about 1 to 3 pounds of pollen and a week. They're going to eat about 1 to 3 pounds of honey in about a week. Now, this chart is hard to see probably for you guys, but I may try to make this more visible somewhere for my audience eventually. But this is the forage availability for me where I live right now. So what I've done is I made a graph of the green shows things that are blooming, right? You know, you can see the first lower green bar in March is maple. And then we get into dandelions in April. And then there's a gap until we have all the spring stuff, trees and flowers that really start popping in May. And then there's a little bit of a gap before the clover comes, on pretty strong. And then there's a gap before, after the clover dries up, there's a gap all the way till September until we have our goldenrod. So right now we're in September, last couple of days, 6 days until October. So you can see the red indicates a deficit of available resources for my bees. So October, November, December, January, and February. And if you look up a little bit higher, you'll see a kind of a black line that says winter be kind. I'm feeding my bees whenever the red shows up, except maybe in the spring and summer. I don't have to worry about it too much, but it's there. There's a little bit of a gap, but basically the gap is, there's a big time gap after September. So October, right now, that's what we're talking about. That's, you go all the way to the top, you'll see feed 1-to-1 sugar water in October and November. And then I put my winter be kinds on in December. I don't know why my PowerPoint didn't quite treat me very good this time. Anyway, protein is very important for bees to raise more bees. That's the protein has all the, the good stuff, the vitamins, the fats, the sterols that they need. And bees have to have honey and pollen for a balanced diet. So feeding in October, I like to talk about this. Feeding in October, I feed 1-to-1 sugar water with my additives. That's why it kind of looks a little bit orange or yellowish or brown, whatever color you want to call that. I'm using my Burns feeder board there. I don't feed 2-to-1 because I'm going to feed them in the wintertime. If you're not feeding in the wintertime at all and you just need to build your hives up, yeah, you need to do 2 parts sugar, 1 part water by volume or weight, doesn't matter. But instead, I like to feed them 1-to-1 sugar water. That's what I'm going to start doing as soon as the nectar flow ends with goldenrod. So I'm watching anxiously. I'm literally just every day going out there. I've already got my feeders ready. I need to start mixing my sugar water up. My boards are ready and my jars and all. I'm ready to go at it hard. I'm really going to hit it hard feeding my bees, because if I feed them heavy now, listen, it means I'm going to get more diutinous bees. Got that term down? It means bees that live long, 4 to 8 months. So every bee that I can raise now, when she emerges, I'll see her in the spring. Isn't that exciting? and I'm really mite free. I'm really low on mites too. So I've got the best scenario right now for bees to win. Watch be some problem come up, and they probably won't, but all things are indicating they're in good shape. So I like to feed in a dearth. Like I said, I'm watching carefully. I add our additives. We have additives available for you guys, but we use a pollen powder substitute, a protein substitute's a better word. We use Honeybee Healthy, Amino Bee Booster, and that's what we mix in here. And it's a teaspoon each per quart. But triggering bees of winter physiology. Somebody asked me on my Bee Team 6 last week, they said, I bought a queen in the South. Will she be able to raise bees of winter physiology? I get the question. I understand it. But I want to assure you, the birthplace of a queen makes no difference at all. This is an Apis mellifera, the Western honeybee. These bees, it doesn't matter where they're raised. They go by environmental triggers to start raising diutinous or long-lived bees. Environmental signals, either a shorter daylight or less nectar flow, it triggers them. And just remember, some bees do this in very hot climates, like a desert area where it's very hot, but there's no flowers. And so they go into this diutinous physiology. So once my summer nectar flow ends, or fall, I should say, I wait about 2 weeks, and then I start feeding 1-to-1 with my additives, okay? So the way to look at that, I wait 2 weeks because I want to make sure I know there's not going to be a resurgence of nectar. And I want to make sure my bees know it so they can start feeling like they need to raise bees of winter physiology. I understand that. Okay, so all bees raised now that you see in your hives will live 4 to 8 months. That's amazing. All the bees that are emerging are going to be, most of them are going to be winter bees. So we're excited. Now, this is going to be exciting because if mites have been kept in control, and if your food stores are strong, you know, in the winter, you need to have food on there, or they need to have their own food. And if the queen keeps raising brood all winter, she doesn't lay a lot if you don't feed them a lot, but she will raise some. And so you need a strong queen, good resources, and you keep your mite levels down. This is how you can succeed at beekeeping. Now, my final thing I want to share with you guys is there are some October death traps. And this is why I think a lot of beekeepers may lose their bees in the fall, and especially in the wintertime. It can be because of late summer, late fall swarms. So you may not even know your hive swarmed. Really, I mean, it happens so quickly. They can empty the box out in 5 minutes. They'll be gone. Half of them will be gone with their queen, and they'll raise a new queen. But are there enough drones for that queen to get mated? So you may not even know it. Half the population might hurt your hive's chances of surviving. So keep an eye on swarm cells. A very poor queen that's not laying good. Many of you have asked me about this. How do I know if I've got a bad queen or if it's just not a lot of resources where she's not being fed well and I've got spotty brood, some people say. Yeah, it's really hard to tell. But if you're in doubt, you should really take a look and see if replacing her is an option. And you might want to hedge your bets and replace her, not take a risk. Now, if you have ignored the mite count, and you haven't been doing anything with your mites, I'm sorry to bring you some scary news, but mites are really going to hurt your bees this winter. And they spread viruses, and it's very bad. I saw today where a new treatment has been approved by the EPA, and Vetasconda. It is a double-stranded RNA, and I have been talking with the fellows that have been doing that. I've had some interviews with them, and I saw where that was approved, and that's another. What it does is it actually kind of silences a particular gene, a protein. It actually causes the bees not to be, or the mites not to be able to reproduce. So that's promising. It's a double-stranded RNA interference. So be watching for that to come out and be another tool for beekeepers to help us keep our mites in control. Like I said, they spread viruses, and this is what's really going to make our bees sick. Bees can't stay warm in the winter. If they're sick, they can't eat right. All that goes to pot. If they have low resources, obviously there's something you can do about that. You can feed them in the wintertime. Or if they have low population, there's not a lot you can do about that. Right now, you can try to feed them, get them to raise bees. But that's the critical thing I'm doing. My responsibility for me right now is to get my bees to raise a lot of brood right now. If I can get a lot of brood raised now, they're all going to have a better chance of winning in the wintertime. I'm excited about that. All right. That's a good teaching tonight. I hope you can, this is live, but you can always go back and watch the replay, watch the video if you didn't get all that information when I was sharing it. So feel free to go back and watch it again and kind of make some notes how you want to do that, how to get your bees really strong. So let's get our bees through the winter. Let's don't have another strong die-off like what happened last year to so many people. Yeah. Thank you, Fred. Yeah, appreciate your donation there on the super stickers. A lot of you have been leaving donations. I appreciate that. You can always go to our website at honeybeesonline.com. If you don't want to leave a donation here, you can leave it over there. We use our donations for giveaways. A lot of you enjoy our giveaways. We also have guest speakers. We pay our guest speakers here. I don't believe anyone should have to work for free. I've worked for free and it's not fun. You can't feed your family on free. Hey, Thomas, thanks for being a member for 21 months. David, you need to spruce things up with your live stream. Do one with Sheri. Haha. Thanks for all you guys do. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sheri would be great to have on. And she always enjoys the live stream. She's working behind the scenes right now with Robbie and Jessica. Thank you, guys. Sorry about the little glitch. Hope it's smoothing out for you guys. All right, let's jump into our question time and answer some questions. Does adding protein supplements to boiling water when making one-to-one damage to proteins? Should I let it cool first and then add them? That's always a good question about protein. It's damage is a good word. We eat a lot of proteins as humans, and we always cook things when we eat beans. You soak beans in water, you cook your beans, you eat your steaks, you eat meat has protein in it. It can reduce the amount of protein. Yeah, so maybe not heat it up too much. Hey, Kevin, thanks for your super sticker. Appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you. Yeah. Concerning substitute pollen, how effective is soybean meal? Would cottonseed or bone meal work also? Yeah, John, the best answer I can give to that is I have no idea. I've never used it. I haven't tried it. I would not want to steer you in the wrong direction. I like using what I know has the things in it that are good for bees. And we do need a balance of protein, types of protein for bees. Like leucine, for example, has to be in there. So all of these other ones may not really help. It could pass through the gut of the bee. They never may break it down. So that's important. Thanks, Janelle, for your donation. Had 2 weak hives that I did a newspaper combine last week. Followed your queen excluder trick, and it worked great. Removed the queen excluder and the rest of the paper today. One big happy family now. Well, that's really good. I'm glad to hear that. Good deal. Always glad when my advice pays off once in a while. It's not my advice. I'm sure I heard it from somebody else or got it. Nothing new under the sun, really, when it comes right down to it. Oh, yeah. David, what is the small hive beetle protocol for fall in Wisconsin? Kill them, smash them, get rid of small hive beetle. Keep the traps on. I've gone through winter with traps. If they cluster, they're going to be out of the way of the traps. But small hive beetles do cluster with the bees in the wintertime. They're ready when spring hits. Okay, they don't die off in the wintertime. They cluster. They actually swarm. Small hive beetles will go with the bees in a swarm. Hey, Rachel, can I feed crystallized honey to my bees through the winter? Not the best of things. I notice they don't eat it very well. They need they consume things through their proboscis, which is like a straw. So they need more of a liquid. Always looking forward to Thursday night. Thanks, Marianne. I appreciate that. Always liking Thursday night myself. Enjoy being here. Thanks for your donation too. Appreciate it. Hi, Wayne. I noticed that small hive beetle have been much worse over the past few weeks compared to spring and summer. Is this normal in Northeast Texas? Boy, your soil and conditions in Northeast Texas is small hive beetle haven. Yeah, anytime it gets later in the year, a little more humid and it gets warm, they really get ahead of things. Trish, thanks for becoming a YouTube member. I've got a lot of members on my channel now, so you don't really get anything, but it's your way of supporting my channel. So I do try to meet with you guys periodically with our own elite conference like this, just the members. Hey, Mel, this is our first year here in Central Texas. Is there a temperature window for using your Winter Be Kind boards? Not really. They're made out of a harder candy. I think if it got too warm, they might melt a little too fast and bees couldn't consume it. But I think if you get winter days that doesn't top 70 degrees, you'll probably be fine. EL, thank you for your super sticker tonight. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hi, Darcy. Single hive with 1.5 frames not drawn out, feeding from the top. An inspection showed lots of nectar, 2 full frames of cap brood with very few larvae or eggs. Flow is happening. Should I stop feeding? It doesn't sound like you should stop feeding to me. I think I'd want more brood in there. Yeah, I think I need more brood. Keep feeding them to prompt them to have more brood. I saw that comment from Ryan Stark, said he enjoyed the bee culture article that I wrote this month. I write a monthly article for Bee Culture, done that for, I think, 3 years now. Bee Culture is a great magazine. If you guys have not ever subscribed to a beekeeping magazine, it's actually a real magazine and it can come to your house. And I mean, it's so many magazines are online now, but this is a hard copy. I love that. It's been around since the 1800s. Thanks, Ryan. Hi, David. Thank you and crew for all your hard work. What's the best way to remove the last bit of white foam from the buckets of honey after extracting and straining this summer? So the foamy part is always on top of your bucket. So as you fill up your jars, it gets lower and lower towards the honey gate, we call it. So I always save that for myself. I don't want my customers to get a foamy jar. The foam isn't bad, just air bubbles. And I just enjoy it. It's the best way to deal with it. Oh, there's Ryan. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I write my articles in advance, so I'm not sure what article that was, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Jerry Hayes is a great guy to work for, the editor of Bee Culture too. Yeah. Hey, Jared, can I split a hive and add a new queen instead of buying another package for a second hive? Absolutely. You want to do that in the spring though, right? And I assume that's what you know. But yeah, this spring, when you start buying packages, yeah, a lot of people split. Yeah. Put out some swarm traps, all that good stuff. Yeah. Thanks for your questions. Third year beekeeper. Oh, good. Third year beekeepers, you've had enough experience, Mr. Kenny, to know that it's getting easier, isn't it? Good for you. One of my 13 hives, only 5 produce honey, but they produce 33 gallons. Do you have a video on how you bottle that much? Sources of low cost jars and labels. I that changes, Kenny. Now you can have, all these great companies online make labels for you real inexpensively, and you can buy bottles, canning jars at Dollar General if you really want to be on the cheap. I didn't see Thomas's comment. I'd like to read that again. Oh, thanks, Tom, for your donation. Thanks, David and crew. The info is great and your shows are fun. Your assistance is greatly appreciated. I hope everyone's bees do well this winter. Yeah, well, thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're all hoping our bees will do great this winter. They need a break. Thanks, Sam, for your donation tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to have a giveaway coming up. We're going to do spin the wheel in just a minute, too, so hang on for that. David, I've just made 9 quilt boxes and 7 feeding shims. I'm wore out. Thanks to your practical thinking and teaching and not having the funds to buy them. Yeah, I understand. If you don't have the funds to buy stuff, you make it yourself. That's good to do. Hi, Tammy. good to see you. Thanks for your donation, supporting the live stream tonight. Appreciate it, guys. Yep. Always a great cause to support the things that you appreciate. I see we got 800 people here tonight, so I got a big crowd. I have 2 honey supers and a deep of brood. Is that okay, or what's your thoughts? I'm in Northwest Arkansas. Wow, 2 honey supers and a deeper brood sounds really good for Arkansas. Do you know my friend Dr. John Zavishlock? He's up there where you live. Hey, Greg, thanks for your super sticker tonight. Appreciate it. All right. Hi, Linda. Is there a reason to put the bee bread on opposite ends? You know, that's a good question, Linda. I have found that in the wintertime, sometimes my bees will gravitate to one side versus the other. And I just feel like if they go to one side and there's something there, it's going to be better than nothing there. So that's kind of why it's fun to balance that out a little bit. Yeah. Feel like they do that to get into the afternoon sun that hits that box, maybe. So I'm a little reluctant to insulate. My sun can really warm my hive even in the wintertime. Hey, David, have you ever observed queens temporarily stop laying following robbing attempts and are combining hives? Yes, a queen can stop laying for all of those reasons, mainly because she's not being fed as well. Something happened and they got out of rhythm feeding her like they need to be. And yeah, it takes a lot to lay eggs, a lot of food. So something happened that make that, but it should clear up pretty soon. Yeah. David, when we gas through one hole, I worry about the oxalic acid crystallizing and building up. Oh, you mean inside the hive? I'll check that out. I don't think it will. It's not appearing to when I use it. I see the vapor going all around the hive. I always clean my vaporizer out after every use. You know, you have that little water thing you turn upside down. I love that. I clean mine out every time I use it. I know you don't have to do it that often. I'm just kind of fearing like you are that it might get a little crystallized at the tip. I don't want that to happen. So I do clean it regularly, but I haven't looked into the hive. Little holes in the hive yet. Okay, Danny, I have one hive bursting at the seams, bees, and has begun to be honey bound. I know I can rearrange frames, but mostly have undrawn frames to add, even if I remove honey frames. What should I do? You can spin some of those frames out, or if you have a lot of hives, share the wealth, equalize your hives out. You know, like maybe some bees need some of those honey frames and those bees are brood bound. You can swap. I love having a lot of hives because you can manipulate your frame so easily. This time of the year, it doesn't matter if bees are on them. It's never been a problem. Just make everybody share the wealth, make everybody happy. That's kind of what I would recommend. Let's have one more question. Then we'll do spin the wheel and we'll do questions here in a minute and got a giveaway. So thanks for being here, everybody. Pop me up one more question. Let's see what we can answer for Katie here. Hi, team, and thank you. Any new information on prevention, treatment, or advice on nosema? Nosema is a microsporidian. It is interesting that not a lot is said among beekeepers so much about nosema. But, you know, we oftentimes worry about it. We think that bees still die from nosema, Nosema cerana, Nosema apis. These are big problems in the bee's gut. And that, so I think that a lot of beekeepers just have not given it much attention, and we really should. I used to have to test Nosema spores under a microscope on a grid, count them, and so, yeah, it's a lot of work. But yeah, we need to keep an eye on that. I think it really does cause some problems with our bees if you want to do some research on that. All right, let's do a spin the wheel. Oh, way over there. It's time for spin the wheel. I heard that and I thought, why am I talking? I'm way over here. All right, so the giveaway tonight, if it lands on the Beak Squad stickers, by the way, I want more of those, Sheri. I love these stickers. If it lands on one of these, then we'll have a giveaway, and it can land on any of the other things. We'll see what it gives us, okay? Let's spin and see what happens. All right. Oh my gosh, we have a personal question. And we're going to spin it one more time after this. But just so you know how this works, yeah, please don't put in hashtag prize. We're not using that word tonight. So if you do that, it just makes it hard for my team to work the chat tonight. I appreciate you being here. But right now, we need all of you that are wanting to ask me, Jessica, or Sheri a personal question. We would like for you to put in hashtag personal, and that way you can we'll see which one of you win, and whoever wins the hashtag personal gets to ask either of us, any of us, a personal question tonight. Okay, so just remember, those of you coming in a little bit late, I encourage you not to use the hashtag before we encourage you to do so. We're not using prize anymore, so please don't put that in there. Hashtag personal, if you'd like to ask one of us a personal question. Robbie, let's go ahead and do that. Hashtag personal. And that way we'll have another giveaway while they're writing out their personal question. All right. Hashtag personal. Yeah, let's go ahead and have, let's see who's going to win the hashtag personal. An opportunity to ask me, Sheri, or Jessica a very personal question, and we reserve the right not to answer it. All right, Mark. Wow. Okay, Mark, you get a chance right now. Go ahead, Mark, and go to the chat and write out, who your personal question is for. Jessica, Sheri, Robbie, or me. Write that question out. And then we'll post it up and we'll answer your question in just a minute. But let's do the spin the wheel again. See if we can get onto a Beak Squad sticker for a giveaway. Please do not put in a hashtag until we tell you what it is. All right. It's personal again, so let's skip that. I'll give it a little bit of a tighter spin this time. A little bit of a vaster spin. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to get it on that yellow Beak Squad sticker. Oh, it's coming around. Oh, it's a tie. Oh, it's a giveaway. It fell right on the middle. Okay. All right. So tonight, we're actually giving away a robber screen. So hashtag robber. Hashtag robber is the giveaway for tonight. This will be great timing for you guys. And those of you that are trying to keep your bees from being robbed out by other people's bees and all, this robber screen works so good. So hashtag robber right now, if you'd like to try to win the robber screen, hashtag robber. All right, my team is keeping an eye on Mark Springler's comment to see if he can ask a question of one of us while we're collecting. I see. Okay. Do you guys see Mark's comment there? All right, Mark. Hey, what advice would you give for high numbers of bees this fall, David? Okay. High numbers of bees this fall. Maybe you mean the high number of bees that may die this fall. Is that what you mean, Mark? I don't really have a strong scientific way to evaluate data like that. So I'm just going to give you my personal opinion about what I think is going to happen this fall and this winter about bees dying. We haven't been really crazy far off. I mean, it was higher last year, but we've had high die outs, 50% in previous years and all. And so what I'm thinking is that two things. I guess it's first, I'm hoping that everything that happens like this with insects happens sometimes cyclical in a cycle. So I'm hoping that the cycle will not repeat itself, that this will be a very good year because we had our bad year last year. Let's hope for that, okay? However, what really is heavy on my mind, because remember, I'm a guy that answers thousands of questions. I don't know if I answer thousands a week, but I answer a lot of questions every week. And from the questions that people are asking me, I get a sense that a lot of people are struggling to understand beekeeping. I don't know if that's because They thought it was going to be easy, turned out to be harder. I don't know if it's because they are trying it without taking classes or understanding bee biology. But anyway, I think if we go into beekeeping and we don't have a good foothold on basic bee biology and fundamental beekeeping from a very legitimate teacher mentor class, I think we can make mistakes. And I think a lot of beekeepers that lose their bees, oftentimes it is from pilot error, which I make. We all make it. I'm not saying I lose hives too. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying that even though we try to do everything right, it's easy to make mistakes. So I think we're going to be a little bit less than last year. That's my prediction. I could be way off on that, but I think we're going to be a little bit less than last year, Mark. Okay. All right, Robbie, we got a robber screen to give away. Let's see who will win our robber screen tonight. Yeah. We're going to let you guys experience setting your hive up not to be robbed. That's another reason that bees get really weak in the fall. They get robbed out. You may not even know it. All right. Let's see who will win the robber screen tonight. I prefer these kind myself. Haven't had to use them yet, but boy, they're good to have on there if you live. They'll even help with other critters. All right, Kevin, you're the winner tonight. Congratulations, Kevin. Be sure to email us, Kevin, within the next 24 hours at beaksquadwinner@gmail.com. Let us know you're the winner. Email us and give us your address. We'll get this shipped out to you as soon as possible. We're glad to have so many people watching tonight here on YouTube and on Facebook. A lot of you are watching from Facebook, so thanks for being here tonight. Big crowd. Appreciate it. All right, let's take some more questions tonight. We've got some minutes left. Is there a way to, let's see, I got a whole thing out of the way here. Is there a way to usually tell the difference between summer bees and winter bees? How do we know if the queen is producing bees of winter physiology? The best way to tell is the time of year, because right now the bees are going to be producing more bees that make it longer. So you can't tell it by looking at them. There's no difference by looking at them. It's just the time of year. Hey, Fred, I've been keeping bees now for over 10 years. Your advanced course has taught me new information. Well, thanks, Fred. I do have an ultimate beekeeping course online, and part of that includes an advanced course where we talk more about pests and diseases and how to treat that. So I'm glad you took that course, Fred. That's great. Hey, Brian Hill, what are some things to consider for a threshold of combining a weak hive for winter or just going through a single deep? Do you default one way or the other? Yeah, Brian, everybody's different. I think you can do it either way. I really do. It's your call. If you're a good beekeeper, you can make either a single deep or a double deep work. I find it easier and it takes less effort on my part to overwinter in two deeps because I just have bigger populations, more food, more brood, like I taught tonight. But you can certainly do it in a single deep, but it takes a little more effort, I think. Can you install a queen excluder on the bottom of a box to prevent a swarm? Yes, indeed you can. But all your drones are going to get trapped, so you can't leave it on real long. And as soon as you take it off, they're going to swarm. So it's better. It'll buy you time to deal with it. That's a good way to put it. All right. I received my David Burns feeder board this week. Wow. Fabulous quality construction made in the U.S. by y'all. Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Made right here in the Midwest by hardworking people. So not a lot of things you buy now are made in the U.S., but these are. So are our winter bee kinds. They're mixed right here as well. So I hope you enjoy those. Why have some of mine and my friends' hives been bearding the last 3 days? Could it be from cool, damp weather? I don't know, Roger. It's been really warmer here. They don't really beard when it's colder. They go inside when it's cooler. Bearding usually comes from the heat, too hot inside. Sounds like some big colonies to me. Yeah. All right. Hey, EL, how do you deal with bees who need food but have problems actually taking food? Some are drowning in feeders before the rest catch on that one-to-one is available to eat. Beetles figure it out first. Yeah, drowning in food. I had a person tell me that they had a lot of bees that drowned in their frame feeder. We talked about the frame feeder. It's a big reservoir that goes inside in place of a frame. And I think there might have been cardboard or something in there. But the frame feeders, I don't have one near me, that are best are the ones that have the board on it and they have a circle with, I call it a ladder. The bees go down in there and they can come back up really easy. They don't have exposure to the entire liquid. Anytime bees drown, we have to figure out a way to keep them out of that reservoir is a good way to think about it. So yeah, that's really tough to keep bees from drowning when we try to feed them in big reservoirs sometimes. Sometimes, EL, you could put a bit of Honey Bee Healthy, that's a feeding stimulant. You might try that in the sugar water too, in that 1-to-1 jar. Hey, Carol, why are they not capping over the larvae? You just see white larvae worms open and crawling around. Help. Oh, Carol, I'm afraid that's probably not bee larvae. That's probably small hive beetle larvae. It's rare to see bee larvae crawling around. It's possible, but boy, wax moth larvae or small hive beetle larvae, they're the crawler arounders. They will crawl, especially wax moth. They crawl like crazy all around your hive. But so do the small hive beetle. Not so much the wax moths or bee larvae. All right, we got time for 2 more questions tonight. Oh, by the way, a lot of people make this mistake. I've seen people on YouTube make this mistake over and over and over and over again. They show a image of a larvae standing up in a cell, and they will always call that the tail, Tail. They'll say, look at the tail. That's the bee's tail. That's not the bee's tail. That is a bee's head. It looks like a tail until the head develops. And I see that all the time. When you see bee larvae standing up in cells like that, they're usually, exposed to daylight too much, or they're hungry and they're standing up for food. But that's the head. The head hasn't expanded. It does come to like a triangle shape. I see everybody calling that the tail, and it's not, it's a head. Pet peeve of mine. Hi, David. Are robber bees reluctant to enter a hive that is being treated with formic or mites with Formic Pro in the first 3 days? I'm thinking about that. No, I don't think so. I don't think they would be. I mean, bees are in there. The home bees are doing their thing, right? Robbers are going to go in there and get what they can. I think that'd be. Now, I wish it was that way, but I don't think it is. Wow, friends, it has been a great night. We got one more time. Okay. Killed an aggressive hive, attacked my wife twice. So sorry to hear that. Hope your wife is okay. Put the deeps in construction bag, giving the resources to overwinter 2 nooks. Any suggestions? Definitely make sure that the queen is not living. You don't want her to be producing any progeny that carries on her genetic traits. But it sounds like you're doing what you need to do. And I'm sorry to hear that. That's frustrating when bees get that aggressive, for sure. All right, friends, I just want you to know I appreciate you being here so much. Thank you, guys. It was a spectacular night. We had such a good time. I'm here every Thursday night. I beg and plead you to come back every Thursday night. We're going to be committed to this. Been doing this for, I think, 3 years now. So it's a lot of fun, and it's fun for all of us. And I hope everybody got a bang out of it tonight. I hope it was a hoot for you. And I hope that your weekend is going to be great. Tomorrow's going to be a Good Friday, not Good Friday, but a Good Friday. And we're going to enjoy the weekend. So maybe a time for you to get out and play in your bees a little bit. Take some advice I gave you tonight. Do really good with your bees, getting them ready for winter. Another shout out, and just thank you so much for Jessica, Robbie, and Sheri, and my friend Patrick. We have a great team that makes this YouTube channel carry on. And of course, the greatest team members are you. You make this team successful because you watch videos, you participate in the live stream, you're kind to give donations. Even if you didn't, we appreciate it. I know that times are hard, finances are tight, but those of you that give, hey, thank you. Those of you that can't, don't have to. I don't answer questions based on your money. I don't do that. I answer all the questions I can. I get it. Okay. I spent a lot of my life extremely, extremely poor. So I know what that feels like a little bit. So thank you all for being here tonight. I got a lot of good videos that I made last week. You got to watch the last one where me and Patrick sat down and answered questions. Watch that one, and got some good ones coming up in the future too. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in the next video. Good night.